Shard. It's this triangular pyramid-looking building, which is going to be the tallest building in Europe when it's finished. But there, if you look to the left, you've got Tower Bridge. And it's called Tower Bridge because it's alongside the Tower of London, often referred to as the gateway to London. We're going to be left at the bottom here. For years, that bridge was the first bridge that you pass coming from the ocean, which is that way 40 miles away if you follow the winding valley of the River Thames. Now, the River Thames that we're crossing here is the reason for London. Without the river, London would never have grown as large as it has done over the years. Can you see the ship moored there? The warship, that's the Belfast. It's moored there permanently as a museum. It's been there for over 20 years. Saw a lot of action in the Second World War. It was the headquarters ship off of Juno Beach on the Normandy D-Day landings. Now, the river is tidal. It's one of the most tidal rivers in this part of the world. It's the difference between high tide and low tide can be as much as 27 feet. There is a huge amount of water going backwards and forwards twice a day. That's why it's quite a dangerous river to fall into. And that's why it looks that colour. It looks a bit muddy and dirty, doesn't it? But it's not dirty. There are loads and loads of fish in the River Thames. And then a couple of years ago, they reintroduced salmon into the river, and salmon really only swim in the cleanest of waters. But unfortunately, there was a bit of pollution and it killed them off, but they're trying again now. The story goes that if you put a glass in the water and let the mud settle, you can drink the water, but I wouldn't fancy it. Tower Bridge, you can see there, is the bridge that opens up, and it was completed like that in 1894, and they had to be built to open up, to let ships come into this stretch of the river on the left here. That's known as the Pool of London, P-O-O-L. And that's where, years ago, many ships used to come to unload their cargoes, but nowadays the ships unload much further downstream because they've got much bigger over the years. Now, you can just see the top of a church in front of you to the right. Well, that's Southwark Cathedral. It's where William Shakespeare worshipped, and it's where his brother is buried. And if you look to the right, can you see there's a building that looks slightly pregnant with a bulge on it? Can you see it there? Well, just behind that building is where Shakespeare's theatre was, the Globe Theatre. And it's just further along from there that you've got the replica of the Globe Theatre, and I hope you'll be going there sometime. It's just something that's great. Tomorrow, are you standing? Anyway, look, if you look to the right and there's one on the left, can you see the silver dragons? Little silver dragons there. It means that we're leaving the jurisdiction of the City of London and we're in Southwark. And part of Southwark is Bankside, where the plays and theatres were in Shakespeare's day. Now, in Shakespeare's day, everybody lived back there in the city. That's where everybody lived. Over here was not in the city. Very few people lived here. So why were all the theatres over here when everybody lived there? There was only one bridge crossing the river. It was very inconvenient, and that's because in Shakespeare's day, the City of London was controlled by the Puritans. And they banned all forms of entertainment. They said it was ungodly, a bit like the Taliban in Afghanistan, a bit boring to live under. But so Londoners had to cross over to this side, to Bankside, because this wasn't in the jurisdiction of the city. So in Shakespeare's day, Bankside over here was known for its 4 Ps, its pubs, its prisons, and its playhouses. And I'll leave it to your imagination as to what P number 4 was, because it was rife all the way along the river here. Now, that church there is where William Penn was baptised on the left there, and it's also where John Quincy Adams, President number 6 of the United States, got married. I read a wonderful book a few years ago called Useless But Interesting Facts About the United States. And one of the useless but interesting facts I read was that John Quincy Adams, when he moved into the White House, he had installed there the very first working lavatory. And for a long time, the lavatory, people used to call it the Quincy. That's why a lot of older people call it the John Quincy Adams. If you're going to Fire of London started, it's just on the right there. That's where the baker's shop was. Now, do you know the song London Bridge is Falling Down? Do you know that song? I'd rather you didn't sing it at the moment because we're just about to go underneath London Bridge. But anyway, that song does record an event in 1014. nearly 1,000 years ago. And that's when there was a wooden bridge across the river at this point, and Vikings had captured London. Another load of Vikings wanted to take London, so they rowed up the River Thames, tied their ropes to the wooden bridge, and then pulled the bridge down. So that song records events going back to 1014. Now there's been a bridge crossing the River Thames here at this point for over 2,500 years that we know of. So that was London Bridge we just passed underneath. Now the next bridge has got an office building above it, but they did some excavation work here a few years ago and discovered this is where the Roman governor's palace was. Roman governor that controlled the whole province of what was called Britannicus in Roman times. It was just here. Now in a moment you're going to get, if you wish, you can get a very, very quick glimpse. It will be an instant glimpse of the replica of the Shakespearean Theatre, the Globe. It's on the other side of the river, but there's two chances of seeing. There's a gap in the buildings just coming up on the left, and you'll see it's a white building with a straw roof. It's a very, very quick glimpse. It's down the next turning on the left here, just down there. You can see. Quick glimpse, wasn't it? A very quick glimpse. Anyway, when we come out from underneath this tunnel here, if you look back that way, you'll see the Millennium Bridge. And where the support for the Millennium Bridge on the far side, behind it is the Globe Theatre. Millennium Bridge is the one that was in, not the last Harry Potter movie, but the one before that. You remember it was destroyed, but you can see that we've rebuilt it since they made that movie. But so if you look back behind you at that, like 30-degree angle, this way, right? So if you can slow down, you'll know just when we come out of here. On the other side you see a big brick building which is the Tate Modern. It used to be a power station, but it's now an art gallery. So look back that way and you can see the Shard, and then you can see the Millennium Bridge, and you can see the Globe Theatre. Can you see it with the red flag flying from it? The white building over there, and then you've got the Tate Modern. So there's loads going on over there. And if you are going to the theatre, you're going to the theatre tomorrow night over there. There's a load of restaurants around there.